This is the plaintiff, Kendra Porter. She says she's an image consultant for plus-size women, and she hired the defendant to do a marketing report so she could get some new customers. She paid the guy in full, waited 4 months, and all she got was a half-baked, plagiarized report full of mumbo-jumbo. She's suing the Phony-Baloney defendant for the $4,650 she paid him and time wasted. This is the defendant, Lou DePippo. He says the plaintiff came to him with the idea of trying to push her services at weight loss centers. She signed a contract with him. It clearly states she has 30 days to change her mind if she's unhappy with his services. She didn't, and he went on and did the work he was hired to do. Well, he's sorry if the plaintiff's business idea was a bust, but he doesn't work for free. He's accused of being full of it.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket, the plaintiff is an image consultant for plus-size women, hired the defendant to prepare a marketing report. She says he's a fraud and wants her money back, but the defendant says he did the job. It's the case of nonplussed.
Thank you, Douglas. All right, Ms. Porter, and your company, Honor You, are suing the defendant's company. You've asked us not to mention the name of your company, represented here by the owner, Lou DePippo. All right. For $4,650. You want the $2,500 you paid him back, and you want $2,150 over that for the time that you lost. All right, what's going on?
Correct. So I own an image consulting company. When this all started, I had recently received a grant for that company in terms of doing some research for the company in terms of new revenue streams.
Okay.
From that process, Marjorie Feiner, who is also here, had reached out to me and said, we'd love to be able to work with you. You know, would you come in?
Who's Marjorie Feiner?
She is one of our partners, Your Honor.
Okay.
In that process, I then met with them and met with what she said was her team, which was Lou DePippo and Maxie Grosvenor. In that process, we then decided to sign a contract.
For what? What were they going to do for you?
I had hired the company for a 3-month contract.
Right.
From August to October. It was for strategic development, and that would...
What strategic development?
Yeah, the business has already been in existence, so I was looking at expanding the target audiences for my company. Okay. And so I had a theory as to how I wanted to do that. I wanted them to do the research to figure out whether or not that theory was true.
And what was your theory?
My theory was working with healthcare organizations, weight loss centers specific to, you know, hospitals, bariatric centers.
Okay, so you wanted to expand into the plus size and do more of that.
Correct.
And make that your thing. All right.
Well, and part of this is I'm taking the wording from the actual contract.
Yeah.
So what I'm quoting to you now
The only word in the contract is strategic development.
Well,
right? Give me the contract.
No,
I want to make sure I have the correct contract. I mean, it says more than that, obviously. A strategic development. Develop brief which details objectives, target audiences, and key messages.
Correct.
All right, what does that mean?
So it was to do the research as to, is this a viable market to grow the business in terms of partnering?
Okay.
So
develop strategic plan for Honor You and 3-year rollout. Okay. Okay.
Correct.
What did you expect them to do there?
So for that was, once we did the target audiences and those key messages, it was then creating a plan to then roll that out for the next 3 years.
What kind of plan? What does that mean, a plan? A plan could mean anything. What does it mean to you when you forked over $2,500 to these folks? What did you think the plan would look like that you are disappointed now and feel it didn't?
So the plan was to ideally look like, you know, if, for instance, the local hospital has a weight loss program, how can you sell yourself to this program? Not to make the initial contact. So that would be on for me to take that upon myself to execute.
The second part of the contract is coaching for on-camera. Cost for a 3-month program, $2,500. All right, so go on.
So when we started this process, then after the initial meeting of talking about what my objectives were, they were then to create the first draft.
Do you have the first one with you?
I do. I have the second and the third, along with my revisions. If you want those separately, I can give those to you.
Yeah, I think I do.
Okay.
And give me draft 3.
So this is 3.
Okay, so you got the first one, which is 1, 2, 3 pages long, and you said to them what?
I had said to them that this really wasn't, it was really a reiteration of our first meeting, so it was essentially the notes of the conversation that I had with Maxie.
And they said?
And Maxie then responded and said, I will work on the revisions based on what I've provided you, which...
So November 7th, you get the second draft.
Correct.
And how is it different?
So they have added more information, but it's all conjecture. So there's no information in regards to actual statistics. And so part of my concern was I can't move forward in a business and use that in a business plan.
Talk to me and tell me what's going on. What is it you're supposed to be providing that she feels you're not providing? What are you supposed to be providing?
She felt that her clientele is in bariatric centers, weight loss. So we looked into that.
How did you look into that?
Well, we went to weight loss centers and we talked to women who've lost
who
weight.
Did that? Come on up. Tell me about that.
Well, we went to these centers and just had conversations with patients. I asked them like who their clients is, who they deal with, and I found out that they have therapists on site that work with patients who go through the whole process.
Okay, and that, how did you use that information to elucidate her?
What we found out is that people who are looking to lose weight and people who are going for bariatric surgery, the very last thing on their minds that they want to think of themselves as is a plus size. We felt that that's a dead market and a dead end.
Did you put that in your report?
Is it in the report?
No, it's not, because I read your report, word for word. It's not in the report. Is it? Is it in there?
As far as I know, no.
Okay. Can you come up? I can't hear you from your chair. In fact, you should just stay there.
Okay.
So then the second draft is in November, and she complained about that too. She said, this doesn't have facts, this doesn't have statistics, this doesn't have, it just has your opinion. So then in the final draft, which you're still doing business with them back and forth until the final draft comes in this 14-page final draft, what is your complaint? What is it missing?
So if you truly look at the final draft versus the second one and go page by page, it is just reformatted with the exception of the competition. So they added an additional, I think it's like 4 or 5 pages on competition. But if you look page by page for the two of them, it's the same document reformatted to look pretty.
Okay, so I'm looking at the report, and let's see what you feel is defective, what you feel is not defective. They do something called a SWOT analysis. Is that your term, or is that out there?
It's a marketing term.
It's of yours.
No,
it's a marketing term of everybody does.
Right,
this.
everybody knows what that is.
Everybody knows what it means. SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and what's the other one? Threats. So under strengths, they give you statistics about the plus size market, that it's a growing market. They mention articles in the LA Times that talk about plus sizes and the amount of money, 9.7 billion, estimated to be 9.7 billion in 2017. And then it recommends that you target and why moms, people who are dating, online services, professionals. Okay, now you've got everybody. Bridal consultants, and the mail market does go into the mail market here. It talks about the other areas you talked about expanding into, and that it thinks that you should stay into the plus size niche.
There was one other thing.
So how did you feel that it was a deficit? What did they not do?
Well, Judge, this is the theory about that. It is not about just saying plus sizes. I cater to women from a 6 to a 26. For me, it is about helping women through the weight loss transition. It isn't just about plus size. It starts that way because people have to understand where they are and what their body shape is, but it's not just about being plus size and being plus specific. It was developing a 360-degree program. So when someone steps up to say, I want to lose weight, they then, they have the bariatric, they see their surgeon, they see their psychologist, all of that, to have then an image consultant work with them on their self-esteem, on what they're wearing, how they feel about themselves, and that transition through that weight loss because they lose weight relatively quickly.
So there's what you're saying, and now what did you want them to do that they didn't do?
To figure out whether or not that was a viable stream with market research reports, which they said they had access to.
You're saying really specific things that are not in the contract. The contract talks about where should your business go, where should you grow, and how should you grow it. So what's in your contract is so broad. I think that what you really wanted was to feel as though they had done market research. But if you don't pay for them to do the research themselves, then what you're paying is for them to collate information. And then they put that in there, but let me ask you about part 2 of the contract, which is they were going to train you on public speaking, which I don't know why anybody would need to train you on public speaking. but what was that about?
Do plus size women take offense to the term plus size?
I mean, I would think so. It's kind of a little degrading to be called plus.
What do you think?
It's mean.
It's mean? You think it's mean?
I mean, like, you're not going to call him fat, so you might as well, plus size doesn't sound that bad.
It's a better option, I guess, when you go inside the courtroom.
I had started doing a lot of media, and I was doing one-on-one. So in a forum where it is interviews, I'm okay. Where it's just a camera in my face, because I was doing e-how videos, I have stage fright. So that
You kidding me?
I do.
You do not have stage fright.
I do.
I don't know what you're talking. So you hired them to give you some coaching. Did that happen?
So we did 3 of the 8 sessions.
All right, and then you called it quits because you didn't like the other part.
Correct.
All right.
For me, it's the bullet points are in the emails to say this is what I'm looking for. If they could not do that, then tell me that you can't do that. Because what I'm looking for is literally just listed what's in the emails that have gone back and forth between
Yeah, so
Maxie
what
and
were you
myself.
looking for again? Because every time I challenge you and say, what? You mean that you want them to do the market research themselves? You say, oh, no, that's not it. But
The market research, no, when you said compiling the information from market research and pulling information, that's absolutely true. For healthcare, for plus
do any
size.
of these big organizations that do this kind of polling and stuff, do any of them talk about plus sizes?
No.
Right.
They're
There was
not.
no, that access to the market research was kind of not
Well, but
really.
that's not true because I have market research here with me.
Okay, what you got? Let me see what you got. That's interesting. Oh, look, you can do it yourself.
Oh, I can. The only reason why I did not was because I wanted to take the time to focus on my business, on other areas, and had hired them so that they would be able to do this.
Okay, this is all on obesity. There's going to be a
No.
lot of market research on obesity.
There's
Right.
market research on obesity and plus size, and some of the market research that's on obesity talks about fashion specifically.
All right.
Can I also talk to you about the
No, you
timeline?
cannot.
Okay.
Here's what's going to happen, guys.
Your Honor, can I finish?
No, you cannot either. Here's
Okay.
what's going to happen, guys. Here's what I'm going to do. I believe that these guys provided a service to you. I believe that you might have expected that the service would be a little beefier. I can't possibly order them to return to you all of the money that you yourself admit that you had classes, that they gave you some coaching, that the coaching only stopped because you stopped. I can't possibly pretend they did 0 because you see that they did write up a 14-page report. You've been able to successfully point to me that there were deficits, that there's all kinds of other things that perhaps they could have included. So I'm going to do a little rough justice. I'm ordering the defendant to return a portion of the money, and that's a $1,000 verdict for the plaintiff. That's my judgment.
Here comes Lou DePippo,
Here he
the
comes.
defendant, and here he is
Hi.
with his reaction to this verdict.
Well, I don't feel I really got a chance to present my case. However, I'm sure we've heard that a million times in court. You know, look at her in front of a camera. She's a pro. And if she weren't suing me, I'd be proud of her. I'd be no malice towards her,
But she is suing you. So,
but she still acted like a pro in front of a camera.
All right.
And I put her there.
very good.
Thank you.
Head around the corner. He's taking full credit for your presentation.
But of course, you know, it's how it goes.
Where would you be without him?
Where I still am today without him.
All right, so how's the business going?
The business is good. Things are growing, and so I can't complain on that side of things. It's unfortunate. You know, I had hired them to do a service that they could not fulfill the contract on.
Is he a pro?
He is definitely a pro.
Harvey?
You know, usually these contracts are not all or nothing things. If somebody gets a benefit, then the other person can probably get part of what they were owed.